So, good afternoon, and just welcome to everybody who can attend. This is going live on LinkedIn, but if you get the companion for coaches and coaching organizations, and we're doing these series of roundtables where we're able to bring together seasoned coaches, master coaches, some by accreditation, some by their experience and depth and breadth of their conversations and experience to bring the world of coaching alive. So we've got some amazing guests today. Here with me now is Brett Freeman. Pleasure to have you here, Brett.
Thank you, Earl.
And
Nice to be here.
absolutely, and we met recently, and we can start with you. We met recently doing some accredited ICF Lego training, and I was just really amazed by how your mind worked when we went into the breakout rooms. So, quick question for you: just how long have you been coaching? What brought you to coaching? And just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're doing right now.
Sure. Yeah. So thanks, Earl. Nice to be here, and thanks for the invite. So I'm Brett Freeman. I'm a Master Certified Coach with the ICF. I've been coaching in one shape or another for, gosh, 25 years. Can I say that? 20. I've got enough gray hair to say that, right? 25 years. Um, yeah, and kind of what I had always done coaching alongside other work. I had corporate work for a long time. I worked in television for a long time. And it's kind of one almost I don't know, an epiphany, can you say, I just kind of realized that the other work I was doing wasn't really making any difference. And so I've been working in sort of the leadership development space and the coaching space again for at least 20 years, um, working across lots of different organizations, different sizes, different shapes, in both a coaching capacity as well as a consulting and leadership development capacity.
So, just can you hear me, Brett?
Yes, I can.
You can. Okay,
Yes.
my sound is just,
Oh, you've just dropped out.
which is great. Hold on one second. Hey, Juliana.
Hello, so sorry, I had just jumped from another
So
meeting. So
this is really great. I've just lost my sound.
I can hear you
I'm just
now,
trying to
Earl.
flip to. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
and I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, right. So my speakers are gone. Thank you for that, Brett. Welcome, Juliana. Apologies for the technical issues. So I'm gonna take this opportunity to introduce you now as well. So can you tell me a little bit about who you are and what brought you to coaching and how long have you been coaching?
Yeah, sure. My name is Juliana. There is a bit of an echo.
Okay.
Is that okay? Is it good to proceed? You can hear me.
Yes.
I can hear you.
Fantastic. So, Juliana, Dr. Juliana Topasley. I'm wearing actually several hats. I'm a social entrepreneur. That's how my journey to coaching have actually started about 12 years ago. I'm associate professor of enterprise innovation in academia and also director of strategic planning team at Dohe, which works with a wide range of global ethics startups and the program focusing specifically on coaching.
Perfect. Thank you. And so we've got a full house. Cindy, welcome. And again, a similar question for you. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you're doing, how long you've been coaching, and what's brought you to coaching.
Yeah. So, hello everyone. I'm Cindy Whitmoyer, and I am the co-founder and CEO of Leads, which is a coaching firm based in the U.S., mainly on the East Coast, but we stretch wide and have about 30 to 60 coaches at any given point. I came to coaching looking for some self-reflection. My husband was in the military, and after retiring in 2014, we realized that we were on a different side of things. Other than being in uniform, we were now in civilian attire. and looking for our next way to support community. I enjoy helping leaders in their transitions, and really we focus on leadership development and training as well. Just solely coaching, and I couldn't be more excited to do that and have found that at a later age in life. So thank you, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. So welcome all of you. I will try and monitor any questions in the chat as well. So if there's anything that's coming in, I've also obviously got some questions that I've prepared for you. And they're not going to come in any particular order, but I just really want your insights. And also if you've got any questions that you might want to cross-reference, also let us know. So just recapping, Cellfor, we are working actually with Leeds in building together a intelligent coaching companion for coaches and for coaching organizations. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer, and we're running a series of Master Coaches Roundtables. And again, the Master Coach isn't just about the accreditation or qualification, it's about how seasoned you are and how long you've been doing it. I met a coach recently who had been coaching longer than the ICF had been around. So, you know, we can't just do it all from the accreditation. So appreciate that. Appreciate you. I suppose the first question that comes to mind, because you've been coaching for some time, what are the biggest changes that you've seen in the coaching industry since you started to today? And I'll start with Juliana on that, and then go around to Brett and then Cindy.
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much, Cheryl. I think the major changes I have seen that if before there was a lot of coaching focusing on world of corporates and startups, for example, kind of founders were slightly left behind when it comes to coaching. It's fantastic to see that it's really picking up and more startups engage with coaching, appreciate coaching, understand coaching, and really see the value in that, as well as all the other settings which you kind of traditionally relate to coaching support. So that's definitely something, an interesting development. There's certainly, I think, more appreciation of coaching. I don't know what my colleagues think. We talk a lot around consultancy, advisory, mentorship, and all other crossovers. And I think sometimes coaching gets lost in the translation. And what is really great to see that it's picking up in terms of what it means and how it impacts on individuals and impacts on organization and provides that support. So I'll stop there, and yeah, it would be great to get other insights.
Perfect, thank you. And Brett, what have you seen in your 25 years or possibly plus years in coaching?
Yeah, I think I think coaching is certainly getting more sophisticated, right? And we've come a long way since Grow, right? And I mean, my field of expertise is neuroscience. I've been working in neuroscience for a really long time. Neuroscience is kind of becoming trendy at the moment, but I think that as neuroscience has kind of made its way into coaching, it makes it much more powerful, much more effective and efficient. But yeah, I think the models are more sophisticated. I think the effective coaches are more proficient in working with those models, working with their coachees, and really getting results in a much shorter time.
Excellent. So we are seeing an evolution of actually in terms of the impact and how we're going in, because there's more models and actually, and one of the things that you said I think is quite interesting is the link between coaching and neuroscience. And now we understand what's happening in the brain and in the mind through coaching, then we can kind of refine and iterate our processes to help to upgrade that. Would you kind of agree with that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think that, I think that we're learning a lot more about what behavior change actually takes. And again, those neuroscience-based models that can really help us to cover a lot of ground in a short period of time.
Perfect, thank you. Cindy, over to you. What are the biggest changes and how has it changed and evolved since you started coaching?
Yeah, so, about a decade now, I've been a part of this process, and I think, I'm naturally curious. So I look as a teacher, it's like, how do I dive into what I'm learning about it, and sort of standing on the outside looking in, and then the inside saying, what was that? So Juliana, I agree with you. The understanding of what coaching is, that sort of sits in the middle of the mentoring and the consulting practices. And how do we leverage that with such insight and intentions now from a business strategy standpoint, is something that we've been focusing on after coaching thousands and thousands of hours with lots of different coaches. We're realizing that having the understanding of what coaching is and how to utilize that in such a strategic way, it's really helping our industry scale. With us growing at a 17.1% globally, I think it is now that we pay attention to how people can strategize and leverage the insights and the intel that coaching can collect, and maintain that confidentiality and that non-attributable information, as well as helping people be more transparent. I mean, I'm raising two leaders right now, both in college, and they are, they want to be transparent. They want to have a voice. And what are we in the generations above that saying to those that we are now bringing up in the ranks? And Brett, I could not agree with you more about the neuroscience piece, which is really helping us combine the adaptability that we have as coaches, understanding the transformation part of internalizing coaching and the ways we understand from our emotional intelligence standpoints, that really helps us drive the how we do things. It's not just about the how we do it, it's the why. And when you have the and of both of those things, I think we collect the vision and the whole person versus just parts of it. And I think in leadership, that is so important as we continue to capture the complexities of change that our world is really having in this moment.
Wow, thank you, and there's so much to tap into there. And actually, I've got another question lined up, but you just touched on something about the growth of coaching, and I'm always kind of like, wow, I've known coaching for probably about 20, nearly 25 years as well. What do you think is creating this momentum for coaching building? What is it that is happening? And Juliana, you spoke about it, about the therapies, the mentoring, those things that have been happening. But I think it's coaching that I see just really developing. What do you perceive is happening for that? And I'll start with you on this one, Brett.
I can't hear you.
Brett, you're on mute, I think. Yeah.
How about now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got.
Yeah. So I think, what's driving the sort of uptake in coaching, I think there's definitely a need in the market. I think people are, I mentioned a moment ago that coaching is getting more sophisticated. Business is more sophisticated, right? And people are being asked to navigate things that we've never had to navigate before, right? Whether it was the challenges that COVID brought, or whether it's economic challenges, whether it's just in general business challenges, and so I think that particularly I typically work with senior level, C-level executives. And I think particularly in those areas, people are being asked to do a lot more, and like I said, they're not quite sure how necessarily to approach that. And so a coach can help somebody to kind of think through how to approach those things. And so with the growth of the complexity of business comes a demand for more skilled coaches. And I think that coaching is also gaining credibility as a profession as well, right? So it's not just, I had a student on one of my coaching programs not too long ago, and one of the things that I asked them to do was kind of come up with a slogan for themselves. And she said, "I want to be a great coach, but not the Instagram kind." I thought that kind of encapsulates it, right? As coaching is gaining credibility, there's less of the Instagram kind and more of the skillful thinking partners. And so I think that's probably driving it more than anything.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'll go back to you on this one, Cindy. I mean, what is it that you see? Because you kind of named the figure of 17, about 17% growth. What is it that you're seeing and experiencing that is the growth of the coaching industry? And as a business owner that owns a coaching practice and a coaching organization, how is that impacting you and your organization?
Yeah, I think it's just having the intel over the years that um, really, the people that we coach and the C-suite and, and on down, um, what a beautiful gift it is for an organization to allow someone just time to think for themselves. And I don't know about you, but I know growing up, my parents used to give me a lot of great advice. But it was through my own ways of being who I was and taking my own experiences to make sense of the journey that I was on in that moment. So, really, when we talk about meeting a client where they are, I think number one, that is something that when you experience that, you talk about it. And when you talk about it, it creates demand. And so I think those that have been on a coaching journey, some of them sitting in the highest places, they can actually articulate their own experience, sharing that, having time to think and to reflect, even if it's just 30 minutes to an hour, the impact that has on someone's well-being, their relationships, their productivity, and all the things that trickle from that. So I think the more and more, go back to you, Liana, saying, the more we understand coaching, Brett, the more we see it as a professional resource to support someone's growth and development. I think that speaks highly as to what coaching is.
Perfect. Thank you for your answer. Juliana, to you, what are you seeing in terms of what's driving coaching? And bearing in mind that we've done some work with Dohi, I've been a coach at Dohi and seeing how that's expanding. What's your experience and what are you seeing?
Yeah, I'm actually going to come back to, I think about 7 or 8 years ago, part of the social enterprise setting, we have applied for funding. So the social enterprise focus was supporting mums, particularly with young children from disadvantaged backgrounds and migrants. And we approached a council and said, well, there is a lot of peer-to-peer support happening. And actually, there is a lot of eager to help others. But sometimes people don't have skills and knowledge of how they can do it. And I remember doing a business case to introduce a community-based foundational coaching course we could introduce and support those moms to become coaches in the community. And then as a result of that, getting a free qualification, they will then coach others in their community. And that probably was the most powerful thing I've ever done in my life. I've done many things. But when we've done that course with a small group, the impact of those individuals going back to their communities and helping others through coaching support to go through all sorts of different personal circumstances, anything from building the confidence to applying for work or managing their relationships, it was phenomenal impact. In fact, it triggered the council then introduce the scheme in a more wider context and really focus on the coaching as a part of those initiatives. But more and more developed and post-COVID, we've also seen introduction to leadership. If before there were a lot of leadership theories, coaching become almost a next word to leadership post-COVID, because the whole area, what you were talking about, changing behavioral, changing in how the companies operate, really saw a massive growth of offering the coaching support and how impactful it was in the context of the transition, COVID and post-COVID. And what we're seeing now in Dohe, working with the global community, 200 startups each year, founding teams, all across different regions, different contexts and different backgrounds. Coaching is massively impactful in building them as a founders, as a future leaders, but also supporting them to build the ventures which really matters in the context of their geographical areas, creating the impact locally, building the teams which continue growing that impact. So I think it's really interesting how much development have actually happened just from my personal experience in different contexts.
Excellent, and thank you And I'm going to stick with you, Juliana, because working with Dohi, it's an edtech startup. Um, what do you see? And obviously, I'm going to come to the rest of the panel with this. What do you see the place of how technology is affecting and impacting the field of coaching? What's the role that we see AI technology, wearable tech, all the various different things that are coming up and emerging? What do you see happening with that, and how is that impacting the coaching industry?
Sure. So, Dohe, one of the initiatives and one of the pillars is Go Together Acceleration Program, which works with the wider community of tech startups, and is the only accelerator program focusing purely on coaching and exactly what coaching means. Not crossovers with mentorship and any others, but really coaching support, one-to-one coaching support with the founders. Of course, technological developments happens all around us and have a massive impact on beneficiaries we work with, but also as an organization ourselves and how we deliver coaching and other services. And, it's like a little shock to the system, I guess, in any industry. But when those kind of shock to the system happens, it creates opportunities rather than kind of disadvantages. And what we see is opportunity side. Technology can really help us to understand the journeys, particularly within the world of startups and tech. It's a very interesting space. It's impact-driven space. You need a lot of patience to see a real difference when it comes to education technology companies and new ventures. And it's also sometimes got misunderstood. And coaching is really, really helpful arm to be able to guide that journey. But technology is a little helper. We see that actually help us to really appreciate that amazing qualitative data we're getting from startups and navigate space and help them to achieve what they want to achieve, probably in the more efficient and more quickest way, if there is one. There might not be one, but it helps us to better understand it. Of course, there are lots of implications in terms of, ethics, practice, and code of conduct when it comes to coaching, and different accreditation and different frameworks. But we wanted to see as a potential advantage in how we can work with technology to support the coaches to get better results when working with their tech founders, rather than see how it disrupts the industry. And we're hearing both sides. Lots of coaches saying, we're not going to be coaches 5 years down the line. On the other side, how we can actually work together and ensure that whatever developments happens, that benefit coaches rather than go the other direction.
Perfect, thank you, Brett. What's yours? What are you seeing in terms of technology and how it's impacting?
Yeah, so I think Juliana, key phrase there was technology is a little helper, right? And I think that there's some amazing technology advancements that can serve to help people in all kinds of different ways, right? I think that I've seen some great even coaching applications where the AI is not providing answers or providing mentorship or direction, but is truly asking those thoughtful questions, which is key. I think that the danger with any of these things is we kind of over-index on it and think that it's going to solve everything, which isn't necessarily the case, right? But I think really purpose-built, well, any technology really, but if we're just focusing on AI, purpose-built AI that's doing a specific thing, a specific job, assisting in a specific way, is really useful, right? I think that, as we watch the coaching industry evolve, I think, I've talked to a lot of coaches that say, oh yeah, now that AI is here, then there's going to be no need for coaches anymore. But, I really disagree with that, because as much as AI can do, it can't think like me, right? It can't understand your nuances the way that I understand your nuances, right? But at the same time, like I said, it's, I think, a great helper, a great new string to our bow, maybe a new string to individuals looking for some sort of basic coaching input. So yeah, I think that AI is, well, any technology really is always ever going to help ultimately to advance our craft, provided we recognize that it is my helper. It's not my do everything.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with that. Cindy,
Yeah.
obviously you're entrenched in doing some of this right now. So what's your thoughts? How are you seeing technology impacting the coaching industry, and what are you doing to do that as well?
Yeah, so first of all, I just want to acknowledge Brett and Juliana. I could not agree with you more, and so happy to be in the same profession as you both, being martyrs for what we're doing and how we're doing it, and how we will continue to evolve and grow as the world does. So, thank you, Earl, for asking that question, because it's sort of like I'm a processor. So I think that's another thing about holding space well as a coach, being a processor. So just thinking off the cuff of experience with clients, and really my sole source for finding a technology company like Selfful was, how can I provide my clients with reminders? What can I do in the moments of them feeling stuck? How can I continuously be an echo as the transformation continuously occurs, even though we're not in a coaching session? And how can I be a constant cadence of a reflection, when we know that change often hits a line of resistance before we create new beginnings? So as I've journeyed through coaching, those are the things that I have learned from my clients, and that I've paid high attention to, because of the way it allows them just to be in the world and to meet them where they are at any given point. I think a lot of times when our behaviors are evolving, we hit moments of setback, and we as coaches know we have to be agile and be ready for that. And I agree with Brett in the sense that I don't think a machine can ever take the place of a human, as I've been taught, and I hope somebody can, change my mindset on this, is the output is only as strong as the input. So truly, when to get a platform like Selfful ready, how would an impact of me setting the intentions and being the psychological safety set that empower the machine to be even closer to the fingerprint as we can get it for what the client is experiencing? So when we look at success measurements, that is one of the things about the ROI that we've been chasing for years. Leeds did that with Jack Phillips years ago with a subset of executives, and then creating the demand of what coaching was creating in that Fortune 50, it trickled down 3 levels. And when we were able to look at the broad swath of information, we were like, this could create a profit center versus a cost center. This is where we create economies of scale with the information that we can share to the consulting world that we're often siloed from, or we're working underneath, which creates a bias. So there's so many things that we can do to leverage this resource of coaching, as long as we remember the one thing, which is the creation of it all, which is the ethics of coaching. And that is allowing the client to be in full control at all times. Because if we let them and we allow them to be in control of their journey, they're more likely to step in and take that charge than what it would be if I was sitting there telling them things that they're just not ready for.
Yeah, love those answers. Just to let you know, Brett he had a call that he couldn't move, so he had to drop. But yeah, those answers are so important. And I think one of the key things as well is, it's often said that possibly up to 70% of our communication is nonverbal. And so some of the nuances that we are picking up, and we're talking about some of the visual cues and auditory cues that we're picking up. But I would say there's an argument there's energetic cues that we also pick up in terms of relational. So yeah, I can't see AI replacing us anytime in the near future,
Yeah.
at least in my lifetime. Um, just kind of coming back to
I,
sorry, go on.
I
Yeah,
can provide an example for that, just for anyone who's listening to
yeah,
help them
please.
about the somatics of coaching, right? Sitting across from a client, I just shared this with a coach that I'm mentoring. I noticed the red flush when speaking about certain things. And after the fourth session, and I saw this repetition of the flush happening, I became curious as to what I noticed a red flush, right? If you don't mind me making an observation, I've noticed a red flush 4 times now within our coaching journey, and just wondering what that might be, if that's something that's been in. Eventually, they noticed they were wearing an Apple Watch, and noticed that the things that I was asking was actually making their heart rate increase. So just things like that, that I think coaches can be in tune with and be curious about, because it wound up being a health issue that was then later discovered. So not to say that happens all the time, and sometimes this is
Hmm.
just organic. However, there is a possibility that coaching can also help with wellness awareness, for
Hmm.
someone who, I say, how often do you get to have a clear representation of yourself, or a reflection of yourself? That's a true seat of coaching, is being able to share with someone what they can't see for themselves. So another example, and thank you for bringing that up, because I think that's something that we're looking at in our industry about health and wellness as well.
Yeah, which kind of actually segues into something else that I've been thinking about, and we've been talking about so far, which is how do we use AI and technology around that kind of coexistence of the human experience and the technology, and to foster an element of trust? Because in some ways, I've got some coaches who are, I know some coaches are like, I write my notes on paper, and I don't want to use a transcript and upload that transcript, even if it's anonymized, into a tool, and so on and so forth. You've got potentially clients who are saying, well, I don't want my data training a machine, and so on and so forth. And the reality is, AI is here, technology is here, it's not going anywhere. It's being built into every aspect of the technology that we're using right now. So everything from, if you're doing a search on Google, to whatever it might be. How do you see that we can kind of bring those two elements together around the human experience and building that trust, and developing? Yuli, I'll start with you, and then back to Cindy.
Well, if you had an answer to that one, we wouldn't be here, I guess. I think it's these questions bring me association with education, because technology develops so fast that things like education or any kind of interactive, like coaching, is almost always behind. We're catching up, so we're responding to it rather than actually trying to work with it or be part of the development. So what is happening is we're trying to catch up, and when you're trying to catch up, you only see things that, mistakes or things can go wrong. You don't really plan what that vision can look like. And I think
Hmm.
if there is a way, whatever happens in the future, there is a kind of an evidence base to work actually with the industry to develop the solutions which evolve AI and any other technological development. That's the state we need to get to. Lots of tools, and news don't help either. When you open the newspaper, it's always about something that happened as a result of technological development rather than actually how it contributes to different sectors, different industries, etc. I don't think there is a magic wand but I think it's about working together to find the ways that technology helps rather than creates issues. And we can shape that, we can be in charge of that. And sometimes I think we feel that we cannot be in charge of that, but actually, we are the coaches know the best how to build trust with our clients, how to do best for our clients, how to create the most personalized and very special journey for them so they can achieve their objectives. And I think that trust and that power we have of ownership of those relationships, that's what we need to apply to this technological development, and maybe be a bit bold in how we address those and how we question maybe those as well. But it will take time. Sorry, I'm a bit of all over the place, but I think it's there's no one answer to address this. It's a journey, but I think we have a substantial part to play, being part of the journey, and help to create that does help people we work with, and also help us as a professional coach to make that difference and build a trust between that relationship between the client and ourselves.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Cindy?
I agree, and we don't have a magic one yet. And I'm hoping, I'm hoping that we will eventually. And I think, just as anything, we start catching on, right? And I do agree with you that it's going to take those that are open to be sort of like the try on, right? I want to be a part of that journey on. And that's why, I started it, because of the fact that I have kids growing up in technology. I mean, I raised my boys in technology. It's not going to go away. And I think that if, it's going to take coaches like you have here and beyond to continuously figure out, number one, what is the foundation for which the user needs it, and where their entry point is versus the coach lens. I think that right there creates the psychological safety component. If I'm too far ahead and I'm not standing with, that is not coaching. When you are standing with your client for the entry point for which they are ready, that is a true set of where the coaching journey begins. And that's why I go back, Earl, you and I have had a long conversation about the ethics of the coaching industry. It doesn't matter if it's ICF, whatever it is. The ethics of coaching is allowing the client to feel they are in control for what they are ready for. And so if we look at that tiny, minute little micro learning right there, where do we begin from the smallest little particle and then scale it from there? I say if you get a nice strong foundation in your technology that meets somewhere where they are, the scalability is it's just priceless. It'll open up so many different doors, from health and awareness, from organizational development, from team building, life coaching, all the different subsets that we have within our industry, which is a vast variety of different types of coaches and coaching styles. So I go back to foundation. What is the foundation for the user? And we begin there. We can't overthink this. These are human lives that we're impacting, and we need to teach and think of, as we build the technology, as a human.
Yeah, I'm loving these answers, and they deeply resonate. And I think it's that wisdom and intelligence that you're bringing to it is coming back to that ethics that transfers from the human to the AI, which is one of the things, coming back to what you were saying, Juliana. One of the reasons why we're seeing the news report in all these negative ways around technology and AI, because that hasn't been thought about. That foundation that you speak about, Cindy, in any aspect, is kind of like, how do we keep it safe? How do we keep the people centered at the heart of it? And I think that makes sense. I'm noticing that we're coming.
I guess say one thing about that, just while you're on that thread, is just in transparency, it took us almost 6 years to find that entry point manually. Now I know with AI we can do that quicker, but how can we partner with people like Leeds that have done this for years, that have figured out the tried and true way of an entry point that then will help and allow us to grow the technology to truly be the mastery of what we hope for it to be in the coming years.
Beautiful. And I think that then raises a good question. And I'm conscious of time, and I've got a number of questions, but I'm going to try and keep it brief and maybe see if we can squeeze 2 or 3 in. What rituals or practices do you use to keep you grounded as a coach, keep you, Cindy, I've had a number of conversations with you. How you start a call is just amazing. It's just like, oh, wow. And so what do you do to help you to keep kind of grounded, focused, and centered as a coach?
Yeah.
What do you put in place?
So mine is always giving myself permission to reset. This world is moving so rapidly. I live outside of DC, so we have a rapid moving world around me, and I'm new to it. So I also am going through a change, and I'm an empty nester on top of that. So I'm like, ah. So I think the blessing here is every moment is a reset for me to find my own heartbeat, and to know that I can only go as fast and as slow as I am allowed to be who I am. So, and even as a master coach and going through the master coach training, I know that if I can find my cadence, that then those around me will start in this rhythm, right? And I want my clients to experience me in their rhythm. And so I find my rhythm first and know that at any point my agility will allow me to meet someone else's energy right where it needs to be as we work collectively. So I think centering yourself first and finding your own breath, because it's so important. That breath is so important to the heartbeat, to the cadence. So doing that first, Earl, is just a way for me to honor myself, honor my colleagues in my industry, to truly be who we are meant to be in this world.
Perfect. Love that. Juliana.
How do you follow that? Well, Cindy, I totally agree. I think for me, it's taking the time just to make sure that I am mentally prepared for the activity, and have that reset, that personal reset, that make sure that, it's a giving time, and it's a giving time. You have to prepare for that giving time. And I see coaching as a giving time. So for me, it's something, to be able to give a maximum of my capacity and really be able to help the client, I have to be in the right state of mind, be able to do that. But also it comes to the client side, because sometimes, you go to the coaching arrangements, and you don't feel the client is in the right state themselves. And sometimes they say, is it really a good time? You can explore kind of things, what else bothers them. And sometimes it's not the right time for them. And that is okay. And I think that's such an important, that it's a two-way relationship. And as a coaches, we need to reset and make sure it's the right time for us, but also for the people we work with. I think it's extremely important to be able to make sure it's right. But yes, definitely anything to help to reset and be in the moment fully. But also, one of the things I have a coach myself. Because you're only good as you're able to be in the process. So I have a coach, and it's fantastic, and that helps me to reset, within the other times, and prepare for my clients.
Perfect. Love that. I love that. And I take away from that, which is reset, connect to your breath, your heartbeat, empty your cup, so you're there and you're present and capacity for the client, and keep the coaching going and by receiving coaching. All right, final question as we wrap up. Just literally 1 or 2 sentences. What would you say to either a maturing coach or someone who's thinking about entering the coaching industry? What kind of tip, or what knowledge or wisdom or nugget would you share with them? Starting with you, Cindy, and then we'll finish on you, Liana.
Yeah. 3 questions. Why, what, and how? Ask yourself those 3 questions. Why do I want to be a coach? What would that mean to me and my journey? And how can I make that happen?
Perfect. Thank you. Juliana.
I think Cindy got it spot on. I think those 3 questions are absolutely perfect. But also,
High five.
but also, don't. One of the maybe tips I will give is don't. What's the best way to say it? Don't think about the issues which may come up. Think about the impact you can make, because sometimes as a new coach you can go in and you can think, oh, am I doing this right? Am I asking the right questions? Or what if this? Don't include those questions in your vocabulary. Think how I can help, what I can do better, how I can really support the clients. Because you can only help when you perceive yourself as somebody who can help. And that comes with the confidence and presence. And if you're not present, you can't help. So I'll stop there.
Perfect. Well, listen, that was a wrap. I enjoyed that so much more than I ever thought I would imagine, and so many wisdoms and nuggets in there. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Brett, for joining. I know you had to drop off early, and we will look to continue to do these in the series. So again, appreciate you so much. We might ask you to hang around, because I think there is a thing about it uploading from your side. So if you don't mind just uploading a few minutes, and I can ask Anya or Isabel to wrap up.
Thanks so much.